This meeting is being recorded.
And you'll have to accept that. Thank you. And when we do questions and answers, if you prefer not to have your video showing, just go ahead and hide your or turn off your camera. Up to you.
So for tonight's focus, we're gonna spend time. We're going to start with some self-help, which we always like to start with before we do work with our animal companions. And tonight's focus is going to be on what we call the bladder flow. So we're going to do that on ourselves. And the bladder flow is one of three flows that Mary I'm drawing a blank on a name. Mary introduces in her self-help textbooks, and this is self-help textbook number 1. And this is one of 3 flows that Adele introduces in her textbook that are daily sequences. These are things that we should and can be doing daily. And this work is equally transfers to our work with our animal companions. So we're going to start with going through and doing the holds on ourselves of the bladder flow. So hopefully everybody's comfortable sitting, either sitting in an upright position or laying down if that's more comfortable. So, and I'll talk about the safety energy locks that we hold as we go through the flow. So we're going to start with, we're going to work on either the left or the right side, whichever is more comfortable for you. But if you're working on the left side, you want to take your right hand and put it on the side of your neck, on the left-hand side. So you're reaching across. If you're doing the right side, you do the opposite. And then that's safety energy lock 12. And then we're going to literally put our other hand on our sit bone. So we're going to be sitting on that same side, safety energy lock 25. This is the beginning. This is the anchor step, is what we call this, of the bladder flow. In Mary's self-help book, she describes this as the posterior descending energy flow. So this is an organ function flow that's that descends, and Jude will display this when she does her portion of this talk. But it's going down back. It's a descending flow. So safety energy lock 12 at our neck came into the universe. These safety energy locks actually have functions. They have meanings. Came into the universe meaning not my will, but thy will. Now this is a descending flow, but holding safety energy lock 4 actually helps with ascending energy. And this safety energy lock helps the neck and shoulders, obviously. Helps with tension and stress. Mental issues. And restores emotional equilibrium and balance. Helpful with aggressive behavior. So this is, again, very helpful if you're working with shelter animals and there's some mental issues, emotional issues, aggression. This particular energy lock is very helpful. So at the same time, we're holding safety energy lock 25. And its meaning is quietly regenerating. That's how it came into the universe. That's its meaning. So it's literally on the sit bone. Safety energy lock 25 helps with regeneration, with alertness, and promotes an energetic mind. So as you're holding these safety energy locks and doing your self-help, just think about your breath. Descending down the front on the exhale, all the way to your toes. And then rising up the back to the top of the head, where it becomes the exhale again. Never ending over. So as we do this flow, our hand that's holding safety energy lock 12 is going to stay in place. It's going to stay at either the left or the right side, wherever you're holding that. That's not going to move. The hand on safety energy lock 25 is going to move. And when you're ready, you can do this from the sit bone to the back of the same side knee. Safety energy lock 8. You just find a spot. Use your fingers to kind of, if you feel any tension, these safety energy locks are big. They're about the size of the palm of your hand. So, and they don't sit in a point. They're not a point. They're spheres, energetic beings, if you will. So feel around, use your fingers to find the sweet spot. And ideally, when you're doing this, you're feeling the sensation of pulse in your fingertips. It's nice when you can feel that pulse both in both hands, and that's a good sign that it's a good indication that it's okay to move on to the next step. Safety energy lock 8 came into the universe meaning infinity, rhythm, strength, peace. And again, it's located at the back of the knee. And harmonizing this safety energy lock by holding it helps with assimilation and elimination functions. It's helpful with rectal projects and all of the functions around the pelvic area. Reproduction. Muscle tension, especially those muscles in and around the knee, the ankles. It helps with breathing projects. You know, somebody had a question earlier about somebody who's got some lung condition going on. So holding safety or energy lock 8 or holding them both at the same time can be very helpful with that, with breath projects. So again, keep focusing on your breath going down the front, up the back.
If at any time you get uncomfortable, you can shake the arms out, just gently let go and come back. Or a quickie for this flow is holding your index finger, just very gently.
So again, ideally, when you're sitting and you're comfortable and you're present, doing these holds, you'll feel the sensation of pulse in your fingertips. And again, that's a good indication to move to the next step in the flow. And in the bladder flow, the next step is going to be to safety energy lock 16. Again, that one hand at safety energy lock 12 on your neck that stays in place. Safety energy lock 16 is located on the outside of your ankle. So again, that may be, depending upon how you're sitting or you're laying, that may be, you may have to cross your legs. You can do that if that's comfortable.
Or you can stay on any of the positions that we've just covered. So you can stay at the back of the knee and the flow will continue. Or you could go back and sit back on your hands. That's great for metabolism. So if you just had dinner, then that'll help speed that along.
yeah, doing all the steps in the flow just helps with efficiency. So it's helpful to do them if you can. It's more efficient, but you can hold any of the steps in the flow and it will continue. So safety energy lock 16 came into the universe, meaning breaking down existing to make way for the new. This may be counterintuitive, but harmonizing this safety energy lock helps with the head and neck projects, back projects, eyesight and eyelid issues. Helps with muscle tone, scar tissues. And again, because it's in this flow, it's helping with elimination issues, teeth and jaw projects. So again, helps things in our, many things that are in our the head. Safety energy locks, safety energy lock 8. I'm sorry, 16. And the very last step in this flow is actually to hold the pinky toe, the little toe on the foot on the same side. Again, this is a hard one to do maybe with our animal companions, so they often don't like being held on their feet. But if they'll let you, go right ahead and do that. The little toe is not a safety energy lock. It is the last place in the flow. It's where the bladder flow transitions to the kidney flow. So each of these flows, there are 12 organ flows, and each one supports the one that follows it. So the bladder flow is supporting the kidney flow, which is the next flow, Mary's work. So take a couple of deep breaths, relax into that. And these are some of the other things this entire flow is helping. So this flow is supporting our fourth depth. For those who know Shin Jyutsu, well, this is our muscular level of being. It's also called we balance. And some of the other things that this particular flow is very helpful with, arthritis, muscle spasms and cramps. It's helping at the connective tissue layer. Bloating and edemas being helped with this. I think we talked about this, mental projects, rectal projects, UTIs, sciatica, leg projects, mental projects, all mental projects, and back and knee projects. So this flow, this is why Mary uses this as one of her daily sequences. It helps a lot. Easy to do. So Jude's going to take over and talk about this in relationship to our animal companions, and a little bit about more how that the flow actually takes place inside the body.
All right, so you can just stay where you are and listen and relax. These nighttime sessions are really nice to ease you into the rest of your evening. So we hope you're nice and relaxed. And this is not necessarily one that we would do before we visit with our animal companions, but remember that doing self-help before we share Shin Jyutsu with animals is really key. We really need to be grounded and centered. So any of those steps, as John said, in that flow, the first one, you can sit in your car if you're going somewhere, to visit animals before you get out. Just hold the side of your neck and sit on your hand for just a few minutes. And then go in and share the work with the animals. So you want to bring up the slides?
Yeah. I'm going to drive the bus a little bit too.
Yeah, John's going to drive. Those of you who know me know that this is a leap of faith. We're changing roles tonight.
And we're doing this.
And we don't want sound.
We don't want.
Yes, there's a question about the recording. We are standing up a YouTube page specifically for these faculty-led sessions. So we'll send that link out on Adele's MailChimp or mine at LivJSJ. So if you'd like to be notified of that, please make sure we have your email address. If you've been here before and we already have it, no need to put it in the chat, but if we don't know who you are, please put your email address in the chat. And so what we're talking about today is this, it's called the bladder flow. That's really the short name. Mary was very specific in her language selection. Every word, every page, every number was specifically selected so that those of us who are practicing this art, it's everybody here tonight, focus on the holistic nature of it rather than disharmony. So when we call it the shorthand bladder flow, we think, oh my gosh, I'm getting a bladder flow if I'm getting a human session, or they're saying to give my dog or horse a bladder flow. That means something's wrong with my bladder flow, with my bladder, the organ, and that's not the case. It's kind of like saying you're driving to LA, but you're not in LA the whole time, right? You've got this, long winding pathway. So don't get too focused on the name there. What this is the posterior, that's the back, descending, going down the back, energy flow. And this is an interesting one. I'm going to show you in just a moment how this is flowing in the body. Remember when we were doing self-help, John talked about we exhale and the energy goes down the front of our body, and we inhale and it comes up the back of the body. This bladder flow is going in the opposite direction. It's going down the back of our body. And so we think of this as, remember those little cars that you would pull back and then let go and they'd shoot forward? That's what this flow is doing. And whatever we talk about with the humans, it's working on all beings. Okay, so all of those things that John mentioned, those symptoms that he talked about, are being addressed with our animal companions as well. So here is the page. Here are the pages in Adele's textbook that show those steps, and you can see on the left-hand side, the dog is exactly what we did. You're on one side, and your hands are on the side of the neck, and starting at the sit bone right there by the tail. Then we move down, and I'm going to demonstrate this in just a moment. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide. Then on the right-hand side, because horses are so much larger, it's almost impossible to reach from the neck to the 25 to the sit bone of the horse. So we have this intermediary step on what is safety energy lock 23. It's right at the base of the rib cage on the back, close to the spine. You can see it very well in the picture there. And this is a good first step. And we actually start with the dogs and cats very often with this step as well. Safety energy lock 23 is the only safety energy lock in the fourth depth. And I don't want to get too technical Shin language here, but it is important because having just one safety energy lock in a depth that's responsible for the entire muscular system of our bodies is pretty profound. So holding that safety energy lock is really, really helpful with the animals. And the other thing that this flow is helping is the attitude of fear. So by holding 23 and 12, then we are helping the animal calm, right? Release some fear. So then we move on from there. And then we replace, you can see in the top right there that the hand that was on the neck moves down to the 23, then we move down to the 25 on the horse. So we're transitioning that way. Okay.
So this next slide is going to show the how the energy actually moves in the human body. Likewise, it will move the same way in the animal body. So remember,
So it starts, and each of these 12 organ functions is responsible for 2 hours of the day. So if you're ever having like routine symptoms, or your animal's having routine symptoms at a certain time of day, that's something that we would want to know, and these flows would support. So this one is in charge at 4 p.m., starts in the forehead, and then it goes into the back of the head. And then it's coming down the back of the body, and it splits into 3 lines. It goes very close to the spine, and then up into the tailbone there, and through the coccyx. And then it continues down the inner thigh into the knee, where it's going to meet up with the other lines. The next line is coming down, so you can see why this would be helpful for neck and head projects. And it's going to go just a little bit farther away from the spine and go into that sit bone. And then the third line is splitting at the collarbone, the back of the shoulder there, and it's coming a little bit wider. So it's really, really good for back projects. Being able to see and envision how the energy is flowing by holding these safety energy locks is super helpful for me. Then those 2 lines connect and go down the back of the thigh and meet up with the other one at the knee, and continue down the lateral part of the leg through that ankle we were holding and into that little toe where it becomes the kidney flow. So we are going, there's one more slide we want to show on this one. So we have a demo. This is our boy Max. And has it started? Max, oh, there he's breathing. So we had to get him when he's passed out. Our boys are not demo dogs like Adele's are, where they can do it on command. Max had his right knee needed an operation. It turned out he had a torn meniscus and a torn ACL. So he had TPLO surgery on that right knee. And to support that, we gave a lot of bladder flows. So you see that John he started with how we usually start, the 10 and 13, chest and middle of the back. And then he moved his hand to his right 12. And he's doing that step that I talked about, holding the 23 there at the base of the rib cage. And John's hands are so big that his hands are actually bigger than Max's paws, which is hard to believe because Max is 110 pounds. So anyway, he's got a big surface that he's getting there. And the hands just don't leave the body. You really want to know what you're going to do ahead of time, so that it can be like a dance, this smooth flow. And when I was first learning this, I heard that and I got really frantic about it. The more you do this, the more natural it will become. And we like this one because it's all on one side. You're not having to do too many complicated things there, and you can just continue to slide down. So he was on his sit bone, and he's doing this much faster because it's a demo session. But you would hold for 2 to 3 minutes or until you feel the pulse in both of your hands. And you want to talk about feeling the pulse in Tucker before even humans?
Yeah, so I noticed when I was doing this work that for some reason, I'm able to feel the sensation of pulse much faster in an animal. I've never heard it, never really felt it strongly before working with humans. But with my other dog, Tucker, it was right away. And Max doesn't love his feet being held. See, he kind of came to life there, but he lets me do it. You know, he lets me hold his, and I'm really holding the whole paw. My fingers are touching that little toe, but I'm holding the whole paw. So, and I think we have a couple of minutes. I'll try and do one more share. This is Jude the other day. We actually were at our little county shelter here that has a rescue associated with it. Let me share one more quick video. See if we can do this.
I'm not sure we mentioned rightsy tightsy lefty loosey. So John talked about UTI and rectal projects, certainly bladder projects being helped by this flow. But think of rightsy tightsy if you have, if your animal has constipation. You can just close that. Technical difficulties here.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll close that one. Oh. All right, let's see if our movie comes up. Our movie is not showing. What happens if you hit play?
I don't know why that's not really.
Shoot. So rightsy tightsy, if you have an animal with diarrhea or erratic and constant urination projects, and lefty loosey if you need to open up the spigot. So coincidentally, Max had a really bad night last night and needed rightsy tightsy. So that was not him today, but it should have been. We're sharing one computer here, so
So she's frustrated with my.
No, I'm not at all. I would be looking at questions in the chat right now. So thanks for your patience. There it is.
Okay, so give me a second and I'm going to pull this up.
You can, yeah.
So this is Jude the other day. We just did this impromptu at the shelter. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
I can't
Controls
take
are
it.
not. There we go. See.
So this is Marlene. She is an older dog, although she came in with a litter of puppies, poor thing. And the shelter is one of those barky, loud, it's a wonderful facility and certainly loving staff, but it's distracting. So you can kind of see that she's listening to what's going on. And this is her first Jin Shinjitsu session. I didn't even start with 10 and 13, and she's letting me do that. So I'm reaching around. It's not quite as easy as having Max on the couch. And I wasn't able to reach without letting go of her. So you do what you have to do. Directionality of hands, and I notice she's feeling something as I hold behind her knee. And when they're sitting like that, it's hard to be precise in the back of the knee. The safety energy lock is the size of her paw. She's got pretty big paws, so it's a pretty big target there. Then I'm holding the 16 on her outer ankle, which is much farther up on the leg than I would have thought when I first started studying this. And then here's a shelter girl who's letting me hold her little toe. And when we say hold, it's simply touch. She's a good girl. And I just saw her again today. She's doing great. Oh. Do new share? I'll resume share. Okay. Someone unmute and tell us if you saw all that.
It did not play. We just saw it frozen.
Okay. All right. Can you see it now?
It's like stop animation. Now it's playing. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we try and work with them where they are. Marlene picked this couch. She was walking, saw the couch, jumped up on it. So Jude had to sink into the couch and find a way to work with her. Sometimes we work in their kennels, sometimes on the grass or on a bench on our walks. We just find the place where they're comfortable and they'll let us work with them, be with them. And we talk to them.
It is funny when you work with them and they investigate what your hand is doing down there. They're so sensitive to this energy work. There were a bunch of bugs around. I'm trying to blow them off. Look at how good she is. So good.
Anybody needs a nice senior to adopt, Marlene is a special girl. We'll drive them to you.
Maybe not out to Canada.
California, yeah.
Okay.
And that's the Bladder Flow.
All right, so we have a squished screen here, and let me bring this up and pull up the chat. Okay, I think we're good. Are there any questions? We covered a lot.
It was just great. I just wanted to mention to Walter and Judith that left bladder flow, if you're thinking it could be colic, particularly the 8 and the 16 and such, that often kind of gets things going and saves that emergency bed trip.
Thanks, Adele. We have many things coming up. If you are on our mailing list, which you probably are, we are, oh, Yona, so nice you're here. We have a lot coming up. This Saturday, Adele is doing a webinar for the Scottsdale office. It's a 2-hour webinar about using Jinshin Jyutsu as a method of communicating more deeply with your animals. That's a 2-hour webinar Saturday, and you can register. I put her website, JSJforyouranimal.com. All of this information is on the homepage there. The next one of these sessions is Thursday, September 22nd at 10 a.m. And I said to some of the folks on the call that the focus for that one is going to be horses. So if you or any of your friends have questions specifically for Jin Shin Jyutsu with horses, that'd be a good one to pop in to. We understand that there's some confusion about the time of these. I can see when people are logging in and it's very random time. So we have taken that to heart, and beginning in October, these sessions are going to be the first and the third Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So you can put those on your calendar, and there shouldn't be any holidays that conflict. So we schedule them out quarterly. We've scheduled to the end of December, and then we'll schedule for the new year. And then the most exciting thing for us is John and I get to teach with Adele at Aliqua down in the Destin Panhandle area of Florida, October 6th through 9th. And Lynn's going to be there. Who else is going to be there? Julie's going to be there. It's going to be so much fun. So if you're interested in really diving in and learning about this with multi-species in a really, really magical setting, I can't rave enough about Aliqua. We love Hallie Hill in Charleston, where we do a lot of our work. And that's really special. And Aliqua is super, super special and huge. They're opening a 100-acre facility that we get to get into before it's open to the public even. So yeah, we're really excited. So if you need more information or you want to jump in, that information is on Adele's website as well. So if anyone has any questions, pop up now. Otherwise, have a really relaxing, easy evening, drink some water, and just let that bladder flow through you the rest of the night. Thanks for joining in. We appreciate it.
Great to see everybody. Thank you all.
Thank you. So beautiful. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Leave. Yeah.